Today's episode is all about our Gordon. Gordon is a Gillies Mackay company director, and he's been with Gillies Mackay right from the start. He is someone who is relied upon every single day, and he is full of pride and love for the company, and that will come through what Cara describes today. Enjoy Gordon's episode, it's a cracker. Gordon, who is Gordon to you before Gillies Mackay? Like, before the business, like, who's Gordon as a person to you?
So, I think, Gordon's been part of my life for as long as I can remember. So when we were wee, Gordon was very much involved with like Dad and Grant Enterprise in terms of like working for them to, I think they started out like laying slabs and planting trees and doing a lot of landscaping stuff, fencing, that sort of thing, before Gillies Mackay became a thing. And so like Gordon was always very present, and he was hilarious. Like, I cannot describe the giddy hilarity that you have as a child when an adult is funny. And it wasn't like he wasn't like, he's not massively older than me, but it was because he was older that I think that was the appeal. And all of us, like there's five of us, 5 siblings from Dad and Caroline. We just absolutely loved Gordon. He always had time for us. He was always mucking about, playing, having a joke, having a laugh, wants to make us laugh. Like, he was just so much fun when we were wee. And I remember, like, if Dad and Caroline on the rare occasion were able to actually, you know, get out for an evening, just the two of them, Gordon would be tasked with babysitting us, and it was just always such fun. He was honestly such good fun as a kid. I just all I can remember is laughing. And then, you know, like, we grow up, everything sort of like changes in terms of like where I am in terms of like becoming an adult, and I very much still have Gordon hugely in part of my life. He and his wife at the time, they had 4 children together, and that was a big deal. I was a big part of that. The early sort of like having them like, all, you know, 4 under 5 type of situation. And he's just a fantastic dad. I've got really good fond memories of being part of their family, and Gordon coming in, and this is Gordon who just works constantly. Like, He's got his job, but he's also got the jobs that he has to do at the weekend to make more money, to be able to support all these children. And he would come in, and you can imagine, like, it's like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and he must be absolutely fucking gubbed. And he's straight down on the floor, having a carry on, playing with the kids, floating them up in the air, just like, and just got all the energy for them, and just so good at being dad. And I've got really good fond memories of that time in our lives as well. And at that point, when I met my first husband, we had Sophie. And so Sophie was a big part of this family too. Before Paddy, my second child, came along, Sophie was very much involved in this too. So we were a unit. We were a proper support network for one another. We did everything together. We went on holidays together, raised children together, built memories together, just like as if he was, not as if he is, and he always has felt like my big brother. And I've as I say, I've got just such fond memories of growing up alongside him and just being his pal. I've always loved mine and Gordon's humour and connection. Like, we've always had a good laugh. We've just grown up together. We know what it's like to, you know, work together in G&M now, obviously, but also when we were younger, working under Dad, and having the same sort of influence from my dad on both of us. We know, like, we hold my dad in high regard. We know that that's, you know, a good person to look up to. So when you've got a shared interest like that, like in terms of like who inspires you, it brings us closer together too. So yeah, early years of me and Gord, just absolute carry on, good fun.
What's the one quality that like he's never lost from like how you remember him when he was younger to now?
It's funny because like you get serious when you get older, you know, and things become more important than remembering how to have a laugh. And I wonder, like, you know, like I see a lot of like the serious side of Gord because of the type of work that we do and the type of work that we do for the business. It is quite mundane and serious. So I think when I see little glimmers of the cheekiness of Gordon, and it usually comes through in the form of taking the piss when it's like something in the group chat and Gordon makes a joke and it's like completely irrelevant, doesn't make any sense, but everybody gets it. Yeah. And it's just like classic Gord. And just like, you know, when he can laugh at himself and when he can have a good crack about just anything that's lightheartedness, you can see like the humor in him again, because like you do spend a lot of the time like, you know, serious, got work to do, got to get on, pressure, blah 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 blah. But every now and again, you just get a wee glimmer of the crack. It's just good fun. Yeah,
I feel that for Gordon as well. Like when you're like I catch up with Gordon in the peace breaks and stuff, and the first thing that struck me about Gordon is that he reminded me of the banter that came from like my dad. Mm-hmm. So like I seen you see Gordon as a brother figure, I see Gordon as almost like a father figure in that sense, because he just how fun and and funny he is and cracking all the jokes, and it just brings like he brings comfort in that sense.
Puts you at ease, It does, I think so. And I think that's the first disarming thing that you feel around Gord is when he has a wee laugh with you. And it's just basically him saying, you're all right, you're safe here, like have a seat. And that's a quality that he's got. It's a likeable thing. And I think, I love to see that show up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So going to when Gordon first started working, like what was his, like when did he come in and start working with your dad and gran, and what did that look like?
Well, I mean, I've got like a vague idea of the storyline. So I'll just have to explain it the way that I remember it, or the way that I've interpreted it or told it. I know that there'll be details and like it might be timelines a bit ski with, but as far as I'm aware, Gordon comes to get to work under Grant and Dad as their labourer for laying slabs, planting trees and putting up fences. Now this sort of like landscaping business that Dad and Grant had like formed between themselves was actually really quite successful in terms of like they had a lot of work. So Gordon was challenged with that like every single day. It was very labour intensive, like really harsh weather situations, and just out every day from the crack of dawn to, you know, nighttime. Like that's what he was used to. He knew that he had to get the job finished and that he was under the instruction of Dad and Grant, and it was a case of not disappointing them, or letting them down, knowing that he was, you know, going to be the one that's going to give them the sort of like the dog work in it, so like the heavy lifting and you know, the sort of monotony of it all, doing the same thing over and over again. So he didn't tire with that, and he didn't like go, oh, this is too hard work, I don't want to do this or anything. He enjoyed it, and he actually thrived in that environment, and it made him into the work ethic that he has today. And so then moving forward from that, the Gillies Mackay element of it was the story of how Gillies Mackay started. And along the way, Gordon's there, right by the side of Dad and Grant. So yeah, from about 13, 14 years old until now, you know.
Well, when did you start working with Gordon? Like, what was it, and what was it like working with him?
Right, so there was a time in the timeline where Gordon came away from Gillies Mackay and went to be a window fitter And I want to say like he did that for 4 years. It might have been longer, I'm not sure. And I think that's where I became more prominent in the business. It's so hazy, like it's so hard to remember. It's like asking somebody to remember their childhood. This is how long ago it is. Like, tell me what it was like when you were 5 years old. Like, I didn't fucking ken. So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that there's been time lapses where Gordon hasn't been in the Gillies and Mackay. He comes back to Gillies and Mackay, and that all works out fine. So when I get my first real sort of experience that I can remember, not the early on years experience, but later on years experience, that's different. He was very much Dad's sort of right-hand man in terms of working for Dad, under Dad, very much like in the olden days when he was a kid. So that was where he was. He's just like, he's basically Dad's number two. And so I really didn't have that much involvement with him, if I'm honest. And I mean, we still had, like our out of work relationships and stuff like that going on. So I don't think there wasn't, I don't feel like there was anything significant for me and Gordon at that time, purely because he was doing his job, I was doing my job. Neither of us were actually needing to work together on anything at that point. We were very much part of the same company, very much really good friends outside with. But apart from that, just fairly normal, nothing significant until obviously much later on in our careers.
Was there anything you picked up at that time about what the relationship was like between Gordon and your dad?
Yeah, just a mirrored closeness between them, and an understanding of Dad always having confidence and faith that Gordon would be able to do whatever it was that he was asking of him. And Gordon always wanting to deliver for Dad and make it easier for him in whatever capacity that he could do that for. We're all very aware, like in the later years before Dad's retired, like, that the colossal amount of work my dad can do in terms of cutting was not sustainable, and it would eventually have an effect on him in terms of his health and the stamina. That my dad's phenomenal, but people do want to help, it finally got to a place where Dad was able to say, I know you're right, you can help me actually. So I think, when it comes to Dad, like, in order to be able to help him, he needs to be able to trust and rely that you're going to be able to do what it is that you're offering to help him with. And that's difficult. So if you get to that stage, then you're doing all right. So I think, like, in terms of me and Gordon, I think we both know confidently that we're able to help Dad, which is a good thing, considering, what he's done for us. Yeah.
So when did you and Gordon start becoming closer, like, within the business?
Yeah, so there's a turbulent time within G&M where I was beginning to get more and more authority in terms of, like, the running of the company, and shifting away from just being another person employed by the company. So it starts, like, I think it was like office manager, then business manager, then managing director, now owner, part owner, shareholder, CEO, like, that's all in the mix. So the timeline of that, like, that's over the course of, like, say, let me think, maybe like 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, about 10 years worth of between sort of, so like, things started to get a little bit more complex in terms of the culture of the business. About 2015, 16, 17 was the worst year. And I think in that time, I think there was a big struggle between Gordon and I in terms of the direction that I wanted to go or take the company in, and the leadership that I was wanting to invoke within the company, and Gordon's resistance to that. And it's not, it's something that, Gordon and I have talked about before. So I really hope that he's comfortable with me sharing, because that's just a tiny little part of really where we've come from. And we struggled a lot with each other. at that point, and we weren't friends, and it wasn't nice. In fact, it was probably one of the sort of like hardest times, I think, personally, not just in work, but personally too, that I was going through. And yeah, it was difficult. But I feel like it was never going to last. You know, we were always going to come back to each other, because we know that that's the right thing. We know that we are family, and we know that we need to make the effort for one another and compromise, because at the end of the day, like, it's a long life when you're just not being nice to each other. It's pretty miserable. So we got past it in the sense, because I spent ages actually just working on making things better for them all. The cultural fit, the way that they get paid, the way that they get looked after, the way in which they are paid attention to, the way in which they get opportunity, the way in which they get a say in what goes on in their working day. So I spent a lot of time just really developing on what would it be like to be a Gillies Mackay employee. And I feel like the more and more I did that, it seemed to have made a difference to enough of them, but more so when it started making a difference to the actual success of the business, then the respect with Gordon really started to build. So it was more about like, oh, well, hang on a minute, maybe she does know what she's talking about, or maybe she is capable. And so then that started to sort of change Gordon's perspective, and I managed to gain the respect that I needed back from him in order to be able to move the company forward. And I think when it came to COVID, that was probably our most sort of significant turning point, because of the way in which I handled COVID. And I've spoken to Gordon about this before, and he said it was actually, there was a consultant that came in, it was for funding, Scottish Enterprise, my other pals, along beside CITB. Yeah, and so they sent in some consultant, and he goes on about, you know, the dynamics of the company, and we want to do something growth-wise, get into the growth pipeline, whatever the fuck that means. Anyway, it's another podcast. And yeah, so this guy comes out. Sorry, I just went on a tangent there. And then it was at that point, Gordon said, no, actually, it was when this guy was saying, like, you know, these are all the things that your boss is doing right now, and they're pretty fucking good. You won't see this in any other company, and, you know, this is what makes Gillies Mackay, blah, 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 blah. And Gordon was like, oh, right, okay, well, maybe she does know what she's doing or whatever. And then when COVID came around, then it was like, Gordon was like, right, what can I do to help? And then I knew, like, at that point, I was like, God, like, I can't believe Gordon's actually going to give me a hand with this. And then that's where it all sort of stemmed from, and that's where the whole sort of leadership angle came from.
What did you start to see from Gordon at that point? Like, what was the shifts?
The difference that if you have Gordon on your side, if Gordon is with you and believes in you, the difference that can make is like between joy and misery. Like that, having that support from him, from a person that is so capable of doing so many different things within the business, and out with as well, obviously, just the talent that's within this man, and to have his support when he wants to champion it too, and he wants to get things done too, and he wants to try his best as well. To have him on board like that, it's a total game changer. And if you don't have Gordon on your side, or if that's not where you're at, then it's so much harder, because he's so influential in the sense of, like, he's so able and capable and knows stuff. And if you can't ask him, or if you can't speak to him properly or whatever, then it totally scunners you. He's so valuable in just the sense of, like, the type of person that he is. So yeah, the support through the whole COVID aspect was just like turning up, making sure things were happening properly, making sure everybody understood, making sure everybody was toeing the line, because it was so confusing. I mean, everybody remembers how fucking confusing it was about what you can and can't do, and how easy it was to like become enemies of each other. And that was my biggest fear. Like, I was just getting the business back to a place where everybody was coming together. The departments were all in unity. And then we're getting into COVID, and it's like, where were you last night? Who's in your bubble? You know what I mean? And then it's just like, oh God, it was really, yeah. But we managed brilliantly. I think we did such a great job. But we were all so involved in it, like, you know, to make sure that we looked after one another. And I think coming out the other end of that and knowing that I managed to, you know, get all the funding in place, get everything that was needed to be able to survive COVID, to then come out the other end and me and you be able to say to them, oh, by the way, you've got a 6-month lead time. Yeah. Wild. So I think that all added and contributed to Gordon regaining respect for me, not just as boss, but as a person.
Mm-hmm. I think I felt the shift as well, like when, like, I've been here for maybe 6 years or something. Like, when I was reflecting on Gordon, I don't remember much of Gordon for the start, and I think that was the point where he was very much his head down in the workshop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was the point after COVID that I started to noticed that I started to bond with Gordon. Yeah. And it was during the peace breaks I was able to go to Gordon, I was able to ask him questions, he was helping. And then over time, he is, it's almost, you see him. Yeah. You see, he's not in one space in the workshop anymore, he's everywhere. Yeah. And he's always coming in and checking in on you, and taking his time with you. Yeah. And like, for me in the sales and marketing at the time, like, I completely appreciated that, to have someone else there that you could rely on in terms of helping you move through your work. So I definitely felt the shift when I was in the sales and marketing department to with Gordon at that time as well. Which was nice to see, and it's been beautiful to see how he's grown in that time as well. Like, be more present, be more there for people, be more, not to say that he wasn't caring before, it's just that I felt it's
more symbolic now. Like, like the presence of him is important. Like, it's a huge deal. You know, he emulates Gillies and Mackay. He is part of the legacy team. And, you know, it's that in itself is important for everyone to be recognized with it, because like there's 22 of us now. We're going to be 24 by January. You know, that's a lot of people, and to have leadership where one of the company directors is so present and so caring about what goes on here, and each department is as important as each other. You know, that's a big deal.
So in the last kind of few years, Gordon became a director of Gillies Mackay. That was a big turning point.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, so timeline-wise, we're talking succession planning. So Dad, Grant and I, big chats for several months about what's happening with the business in terms of next generation, Dad and Grant's exit strategy, understanding that we need to set up, safeguard and look after the company as a legacy entity, and that we're not selling it, and that this is for the next generations and the generations to come. So whilst me and Dad and Grant were sorting through all of that, like, there was like a real sort of like, we'll talk about this in Dad and Grant's episode, but just like trying to understand like the passing of hands. And why that is actually more important than any monetary value or whatever you're gaining from. So the passing of hands. So with me, like, we made up all these rules. Everything's hunky-dory. We'll explain it in Dad and Grant's. But for me, I knew that in order for me to move forward with the legacy of the business as the next generation, that there was only one person that I could trust enough, as much as I care for the business, and that would be Gordon. And I needed him to come alongside me and be a company director too, and give him that recognition for being a founding employee and being here from the start and knowing just how important it is to be able to pass this business on. So I don't have a sharehold for Gordon at the moment because I'm still dealing with mine. So I'm still paying mines back. But once mine is paid back, that's the first thing on my agenda, is to make sure that Gordon has ownership of the company too. So yeah, that all sort of happened around about the same time after COVID, blah, 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 blah. Dad's not coming back. Dad and Gran aren't getting any younger. They're fucking working their asses off, have done for all their lives. Let's see if we can get something a little bit more easy going on. Let's make the business sustainable for the next gen. That's me. And look at what me as my generation, what we're going to do for the next generation, and get all the sort of plans in place and do some really sort of forward, long range vision. And I don't need to tell family business or even just businesses in general how fucking important that work is. And if you don't do it, then you're just basically pissing it all up against the wall. I mean, like, what's the fucking point? So get your visions sorted out pronto and know who your people are. Gordon's one of my people. And so he comes on company director. We look at the restructuring. We've talked about all the other guys in terms of promotions and all the rest of it. So with Gord, he goes into operations director as his sort of like day-to-day role, as it were. And so that's been, about 3 years, maybe 4 years now. And we come to another hurdle within the company in terms of like crossroads. So what needs to happen next? Now, I tell you something that hasn't happened is that there has been no slowing down of Grant Gillies. The man is unstoppable. So this is very prevalent in terms of the future projections of the company. Now, I do all of my forward thinking, my forward planning, my visualizing in October for the following year. And this is a constant back burner because Grant is so readily motivated, eager, willing, and nobody else knows how to fucking do it. He gets overlooked and it doesn't become a priority because it doesn't need to be a priority yet. That stops. It has to stop. You know, Grant won't mind me saying, I think he's going to be 65 next year. 1961 for Grant, 1960 for Dad. Yep, 65 next year. So, need to really like tune in to getting him some proper like Grant time. So which means I need a new Grant. So Gordon is very much now on the succession train, and I know it's hard for people to understand me when I'm explaining why they need to do something right in this moment, because my decision for this moment is based on multiple decisions to get me to the vision, and I don't always explain the vision clearly. And so then it can be confusing. And it's sometimes hard to explain the vision because I'm not sure it's not entirely fully formed yet. But I also know that this is important now in order to make it better in the future. And literally, like, so this is fresh. This is fresh changes that we've been making just recently. And it was even just today having a quick conversation in the PSAT with one of the others about workload of all of these complex builds that we're doing, which is what Grant does in terms of all the AutoCADs, all the engineering, all the drawings, all on Grant's shoulders, the man who's meant to be stepping back and taking time for himself. So it just re-emphasizes to me, like, you know, this is absolutely the right move, and I cannot wait to see what difference Gordon makes to Grant in a year's time. I think it's going to be phenomenal. And I think for Gordon to learn this new skill, the one that he has been dabbling in and is totally motivated for him to learn this new skill properly and have the time and peace and focus to do that, I think he's going to fly with it. And I am so excited for him because as legacy staffs, like, you know, none of them are getting younger. And it's important that they have something else to do. I mean, the reason that I'm saying this now is that there's still there could still be 30 years of a career here. And people change jobs, like, you know, some folk change jobs every 18 months, for Christ's sakes. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I'm just saying the opportunity is big and I'm excited for him. And I know that with Gord, it takes his time to settle in for him to see the full positive. So I hope he still respects me and trusts me enough to know that that is purposeful and that he will feel good about this.
It's a big deal for Gordon as well, because he's like, what I'm seeing in my head is that he is a merging of John and Grant, and that's taken on two big, massive roles within Gillies Mackay, and then going on to make that his own as well. And he was like, that's like Grant in himself, Gordon in himself is carrying the legacy of what John and Grant is, the essence of what John and Grant have been. But then, and then it's Gordon's twist on it. Like, what's Gordon's twist going to be on that? Which is really exciting. Yeah. Like, has Gordon ever, like, expressed to you, like, how he's, like, felt about that? Like, expressed, like, has it been a weight for him? Is it something that excites him? Is it, like...
Yeah, well... in true Gordon fashion, because this is the thing, like always, it's just like there's always a nervousness or a what if something doesn't work out or something goes wrong, or have you thought about all these other eventualities and how this might be too difficult to achieve, and like, so there's always like the first trepidation that he comes for, and then after a while of seeing it for real for himself, the factual sort of like tangible evidence of something going right, then he's all in.
Yeah.
But he needs that proof first. And I think that's fine. That's validation. You know, we ask for it all the time. We ask for market validation every time we do anything when we go to market with our products. As soon as you sell one, it's a great idea, fantastic idea, but unless you've sold one, it means fuck all. So once you've sold one, you've got the validation there. That's exactly the same with Gord. You want to try something new? You want to do a big project? Absolutely, let's give it a shot. But until it's actually worked, or I can see it's going to, then I don't know it is. So he just needs that bit of validation for himself. And I think that's definitely going to come when we start as like formal training in January, which I'm really excited about. Yeah. So he's dabbling just now. He's helping Grant out as best he can, and I've got him on a couple of different other projects to do with like weed quality and waste management and stuff like that. But come the new year, I really want to cement him into this sort of like new role and get him hitting the ground running.
If someone asked, what has Gordon built here? Like, how would you answer that? Where's Gordon's fingerprints in the company?
Probably the easiest way to explain it is in each of the individual members of our team. So it's not like a physical indent on just like the place that we work in. It's more about the lasting impact that he has on each of the individuals. So there's a bit of Gordon in all of them, you know. So I'd love to say that it's the work ethic that you see behind what it is that they do. And I believe that that's the lasting imprint of Gordon. He's taken it from Dad into himself and then given it to everybody else. And you know that, like, there's just a level of the way in which everybody works. There's how, you know, the level of which Gordon works to, the efficiency of Gordon, and then everybody else aspiring to that efficiency. Like the speed of it, the accuracy of it, the detail of it, the wanting to get it right of it. You know, it's all there. Whether you're on the bench, on the saw, on the parts, out on site, you know, there's just a level that I think they all not secretly know, subconsciously know that's what they're trying to get to. Yeah.
You can see it in Gordon's, like, there's something about you ask us questions, reflective questions about people every year, maybe twice a year. And Gordon's the one that has been front of mind for me recently, in terms of like, you can sit and speak to somebody and you can see it in their eyes, like how much they have given to work, life, whatever it may be. And like when I speak to Gordon, like he gives it all. Like he really does. Like you can see it in him. But when you speak to him as well, like he loves this place.
Yeah.
Like he really does. And he deeply believes in it, and he sees the better. He wants it to be better. I'm so like interested in the conversations that we have, just about when he goes off on his tangents about work. Like we just had a conversation the other day about wood, and he's telling me all about the wood, and he was just like, sorry, I'm blabbing on. I'm like, but I'm like, the way that he describes it, his passion for it, he's just like, he makes it interesting.
Yeah.
And like he was sitting there, and I was just like, you need to be in the podcast talking about this. Like, but he has such a knowledge and a passion for it and everything within Gillies Mackay. And like every time that he communicates, like it's lifting someone else up every single time. And that's something that's like for me is special about Gordon. And here. And it's no often today that you see people that, how long he's been here for the start, like to give that dedication, to give their life to a company like that, like that's rare nowadays, and it's beautiful, and it must have been it's a massive journey for Gordon.
It is. But I think one thing again from Gordon, like when you're talking about like what he gets passionate about, or you know, what he finds interesting when it comes to anything to do with our industry, is that there's a clear understanding with Gord that he is always open to learning. And that's what I love about him too. It's like part of leadership is that you're constantly learning, and Gordon's not scared to learn, and he's not scared to start at the beginning and try again. And that's something that that's something that I find like really commendable in leadership, is just being open to that. And the fact that he's going to have to learn how to do AutoCAD. Yeah, he's a bit scared. He doesn't know if he's going to manage it, but he will manage it. Of course he will. And, you know, like that to me, like that again just shows me his willingness. There's so like you get to Gordon's age, the what is he, 54 now or something? Age shaming him on the podcast. And, you know, like people shut off from learning so early on, you know. So for him to be still like 100% ready to learn anything new, give it a shot, tell me about it, let me understand it, you know, it's such a good quality.
And you ask for help as well. You're like, here, how do you do this?
Yeah. Technology, That's the other thing, being open to learning about technology. Like I wish he could see himself this time last year with his computer, and see himself now like just doing all these little shortcuts and that. Kens how to do stuff. Formatting. Blows his mind.
Aye. He's done amazing. 36 years.
Yeah.
If Gordon's in the room, was sitting with us right now, what would you want to say to him that has not been expressed?
Just that I probably wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, if I'm honest. It's really important that he's on this journey with me. It's funny because I very much see Gordon and I as equals. So it's hard for me to be like saying things like I'm so grateful for everything that you do for the business, blah, 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 as if the business is just mine's. Because it's not. It's mine's and Gordon's. And I'm like, yeah, fucking right. You're doing all this for the business. So you should be. Know your place. You know, this is your business too. So just, I don't know, keep the faith is probably what I'd say to him. Know where you stand, and that we'll keep doing this together for as long as it takes until somebody in the third generation is able to do it for us, you know. We're in it for the long haul. But yeah, that's about it, I think. I know that you're wanting to make me cry, and I'm not going to let you, because I think it's just I think it's important to know that is the type, that is our relationship. We are equals. I see him as much as the Gillies Mackay as I am the Gillies Mackay. And it's important that we do this together for as long as it takes. Yeah.
That's us for today's episode. If you're enjoying the episode so far, make sure to subscribe to the channel to hear more. If you've got any comments or would like to hear deeper topics, for example, make sure to email us at hello@NattyShedLife.com or just comment on the video below and we'll see them there. See you next week. It's 11:11.
Oh, what does that mean? So, did you ken that
You're on
there's
the
like
right track.
6 fucking planets in retrograde right now?
Oh, that explains a lot.
Like, I had like the worst week from hell last week. And Sophie was like, everything's in retrograde right now. You should not be having these types of conversations. Of course you're feeling hurt. And I was like, well, I've got to have a serious conversation. She's like, not this week, you're not. Wait until after the 29th.
I think I'll just wait till Christmas.
For Christmas Day special. A Christmas Day special. Aye. And another thing.
Aye. Ting ting, attention please at the table.
Fucking yes.